right, everybody, it is time for our fusion composition lesson. Today, we are going to be doing our fusion compositions and how to make them in Davinci Resolve. So last time on Tuesday, I introduced you to fusion in terms of how to work it and what to learn. Today, we're going to start making fusion compositions based on some beginner stuff. that is that is suitable for beginners, and anybody can do these in like a day. Before we get started, we do have the iOS beta of VR chat. If you guys are interested, make sure you guys check your emails if you signed up for that. All right. So fusion compositions are basically what you see here. I have three fusion comps right here on the board. I'm going to show you how to make each one, but we're going to be using fusion composition, the the actual fusion composition. So initially I said, you know what, let's do it on the clip because it's easier and you don't have a lot of mess. However, I found out why we were getting that error. So there's an error that you get where if you do not do it correctly, you could get this error. No input on frame one in terms of media out. So what happens is we're gonna make a fusion composition. We could call this opacity keyframe, keyframing. And we are going to have this for, we're going to create this at 24 frames per second. We're going to put this on the timeline on video 3. I'm going to disable the fusion comp I made for the clip already. I'm going to explain what's going to go up, what's going to happen. Okay, so let me disable. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to bring it in again. Let me actually put back media in. So what happens is the thing is looking for media in. Here's the thing with fusion comps. With a fusion composition, you must have a media in. The thing is, no frame available for media out one. That is because we're using this our fusion comp. So what it's looking for is something to connect to media out one. Well, we don't have anything, except we do. The background node is an automatic media in because you're technically putting something in into media out one. What you need to do, change the alpha to 1 so that it's transparent. And then if we go back to the edit page, there should be no thing. I do have to bring this back in now. Uh, let me let me disable this because what's gonna happen is I am going to bring it in on top here. So we can bring it back in here. Media 6. Then we can put this up here. We can put our new fusion comp upstairs. There we go. So as you can see, we have no error. And that is because, and that's because when we put the black background, we put the background as a media in. right off the rip. That's why we're not getting an error. Let me cut this over here because I'm gonna present another compo a little later. So let's have a look at it. So what we're gonna do is we're going to do a opacity keyframing here. So go to Fusion. We're gonna have background one connected to your media one node. Then we're going to have a text. We're gonna have a text node, code control spacebar. We're gonna go TXT. We're gonna do text plus. We're going to have also have a merge node, and we're gonna connect our background one to our merge node like this, and then to media out one. Awesome. Now on the text node, we're going to select a text. We're gonna write some text here. We're gonna move it on a preview plane down here. Now let's take a look at it. And as you can see, we have our fusion composition right on top of our little film here. Now, can you move it to where you can change it? Yes, you can. Change the length right here, just like this. Now, the opacity part. This is where we're going to start learning keyframing. We can go back to Fusion by selecting this one and go to Fusion. We're going to go to the text node. We are going to go to shading, and then we are going to go to opacity. So now, keep in mind, we have 175 frames to play with. So if this is running at 24 frames per second, so 170 divided by 24, that's about 10 or that's about 9, 8, 7, 5 seconds. If we're talking about frames per second. So let's go ahead and start opacity or start keyframing our text. So at frame 15, opacity, let's put that at right here. At frame 40, we're clicking the diamond again. We're going to go down even more. At frame 40, we're going to go down even more. And at frame 70, we take it all the way down. So when we take a look at it, let's play it. Nice. Actually, at frame 0, it should be at 100. There it is. There's our little opacity text keyframe. And let's take a look at it on the clip. Let's have a look at it on the clip. There it goes. We're going to cut it right there. Control B on blade tool. We're going to remove this. And that's the first fusion composition of the day. That's the easier one. So this can be used for like an introduction to your video, i.e., let's say you're introducing like a cast member in a role play. So this can be something like that where you can introduce your cast member. Keep in mind, however, you need to change the text. If you wish to change the text, you need to go back to the Fusion tab, go to your text node, and then you change the text from the text tab shown here. Once you have done that, you are good to go. Now, I do want to stress that When you are working with fusion composition and you're trying to edit for like a video, don't do too much because the more you do, the more resources your PC is going to use when it comes to fusion comps. So don't do that. But that's the first fusion composition. That's the easy one. So this is called opacity keyframing. Very simple to do. The next thing we're going to teach you, the next fusion comp that I would like to present to you today is the idea of your LUT. We're going to keyframe. We're going to keyframe LUTs today. So what is a LUT? A LUT is a file lookup table, also known as formula, that colors your video based on a formula. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So as you can see, a keyframe, file LUT keyframe, is our second fusion composition that we are going to make tonight. So I'm not going to disable the clip, but what we're going to do is we're going to make a new fusion composition in the media pool, and we're going to title this file LUT keyframe. So what this does is we're going to keyframe a file LUT to make our image better. And let me take a look. Let me show you guys what our thing is going to be. So we're going to drag this into the timeline. We're going to, I'm going to put this back here. And we're going to take a look at the thing here. Let's go to our Fusion tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to first, let's go ahead and take a look at the background node. We're going to connect this drop background node, and then we're going to change the alpha to 0 so that it can be transparent. And then we are going to go ahead and do on the background, we're going to do control space. We're going to do a file LUT. Actually, no, the way I did it was I went to effects and I went to LUT and I picked a random LUT. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring this in here to see what happens when we look at it. So here is the file LUT that I have chosen for today. And it is your little preview. Now do keep in mind, don't do too light. The reason why in the original video that I went light is because it was dark. So if we take a look at it on the timeline here, you see how it went very light. Now you might be wondering, how did we do the keyframe? Exactly what we did with the text. So with the keyframing though, we're going to be a little more creative. Okay, so with keyframe, you still have to use the diamond. You still have to use the diamond. Now keep in mind, there is 1940 frames. That's because at this point we're at 1940 frames. Now the white bar is the timeline of keyframes. So we put a dark, we put a light, and all that stuff. So it's the same thing with text. The only difference is you're using pre-gain right here. That's all you have to do. Now, we're going to do one more fusion comp. This one is going to be a little bit more involved. Okay? This is more involved, and let's just say that we're going to have a scene in a role play where a character has their memory of a character deleted or something. So what we're going to do is a new fusion comp. I am going to do it as a new file, however, and I'll explain why in a moment. So we're going to we're going to go file. I'm going to make a new project. I'm going to bring in a particular clip here because this is going to be important when it comes to the character here. Let's say actually let me see if I still have it. Actually I do. Let me go to my I have it somewhere here. If I don't have it, I'm just gonna do that thing on a different video. I'm not too worried about it. Okay, I don't think I have it, but that's okay. Here's my idea. I'm going to go back to this. There we go. We're going to use this. Where are you? We are going to use this. Change that. Go to edit page. We're going to use this. We're going to remove the audio. Press D on your keyboard to disable audio or a clip. We're going to move it all the way to see where I want to do it on. Because I want to do it at a very specific part. This is a triple effect I'm going to show you guys. I needed to play. I don't know why it's not playing at this point. Also, we have a poll for you guys to vote on for next week. Next week, we are going to dive deeper into Fusion. We're gonna be using shapes. This that one is going to take a while to play with, however, because we could be doing shapes. And I think Davinci just crashed. No, it did not. Okay, what I was going to show you is this. Let me see if I can do it on my other clip. Uh, let's go to this one. Actually, now that we're good there. Okay, now my clips are not loading. Hold on, I'm gonna reset Resolve. Hold up. For some reason, my clips are not loading. So hold on. By the way, yes, you can actually do Davinci Resolve on the phone. There's an app called Blackmagic Camera, and it's a free app, and you can upload to your file for your cloud for DaVinci. Okay, okay, we're good. I'm gonna see if I still have this clip. Yes, I do. I'm gonna reverse all of this, and I am going to bring in this part. I'll show you what I'm trying to say here. I'm gonna disable audio pressing D, and then I'm going to cut a lot of this. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do something very, very, very interesting. Disable this. We're gonna delete that. We're gonna delete this. You'll find out what I'm trying to do in a moment. So let's imagine some evil Sonic character, namely Infinite, decided to delete memories. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to apply that effect on a fusion composition. So here's what we're gonna be doing. We are going to right click. We're gonna fusion comp, new fusion comp, and we're gonna title this triple out effect. Here's what I'm gonna say. This is gonna be wild. This is gonna be the most wild composition you're gonna learn here. The triple out. So here is a character. That said character we're about to forget, kind of. So once again, let's go to Fusion page. Let's go to the Fusion page, and then let's put in our black background, and then we're going to change the alpha to 0, and then let's go back to edit page, and we're good. We're good to start. Awesome. Perfect. Now what we want, now what we want is to merge. We are going to color correct. First off, color corrector. Actually, let me change this on the background. Okay, awesome. We are going to see what happens when we color correct this. So, oops, back to Fusion. Let's go ahead and change it to the right. Let's test out some stuff first. Let's test out all these settings here. This is important so that you understand what we're looking at. Back to the page. Okay, it's all black. Okay, we don't like that. Oops, not color. Let's go back to Fusion and let's go ahead and change the contrast. Okay, did we not do the background yet? Yeah, we did. Okay, okay, that's why. The brightness was off. Okay, there we go. Okay, we got our recorder back. Good. So as you can see, it's color brightness down. That's what we want. That's what we want. So we're going to brightness down all the way. And then we are going to, let's go RGB. Let's see what happens if we do this. Ooh, purple. Okay, I did not like that one. Okay, so ew. Okay, so we need to go back to, let's see what happens if we change the colors, all of it, to brightness 0 or -1. Okay, not what we want. Okay, let's try saturation. Oh, no, actually we can do color paints here. Let's do fast. Let's see what happens. Nope. So this is a lot of stuff you need to look into as well. We're gonna go. Okay, let's see what that did. Okay, that didn't do good. Come on, Bryce. Okay, that's what I want. It's not what I want. That's way too. That's way too dark. See, so the idea here is to play with it. Oops. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, for this one, I'm gonna be giving little pass. What I'm gonna do for this one, this is a hard one. So instead of fusion comp, we're gonna go straight into fusion from the clip. We're gonna do a color correct, and then we're going to see what happens when you color correct. So this is what happens when you color correct. Okay, purple, red, green, purple, blue, etc. Okay, the idea here is we're going to, you see the contrast changes the detail. Now, here's what we can do. That's black and white. You see how it went black and white there? That's good. And for the effect that we're about to make here. Now, blur. Oh yeah. Actually, before we blur, we need a mask. Let's do a. So as you can see, it's black and white now. That's actually what we want. But what I want, so right here, I'm gonna see what we can do here. So blur, we do blur size like this at 100. So eventually we're going to hit 100. We're also going to have the color corrector on the saturation. So I want to show you guys what we're going to eventually play with. We're going to have this gone all the way to 0. On the blur, we're going to go all the way to 100. Okay? The idea here is to present a character who forgot a character. Okay? So let's go back to normal here for the moment. So 0 here, and then blur, color correct, saturation, or let's go back to normal like this, and then let's animate this. So we are going to go from 730 all the way to, we are going to first do the color correct. We're going to at 750, 735, the saturation, we are going to put it down to 0.75. At frame 745, let's put that down even more to 0.47. At frame 755, we're going to put that down to 0. There's a black and white effect. Now the blur effect for the I forgot this character effect. We're going to start that at frame 760. We're going to switch from the color corrector to the blur effect at 760. But keep in mind, you have to keep in mind The color correct node is separated, is independent of the blur node. They will depend on each other for the entire animation, but when you go to keyframe, they are independent of each other. So be very careful of your timing when you go in from color correcting to blurring. So let's go to blur and let's start to increase the blur. We're going to start at frame 760 and then we're going to call it at blur 11. At frame 770, blur is going to go up to 18. At frame 730, 785, blur is going to go all the way up to 30 to 42. Now you see how hazy it is, and that's on purpose for this effect. 780, 795, we're going to go blur to 82. And then finally at frame 810, blur is going to be at 100. So if we play this out, let's play it out. Let's go from the beginning. Oh, actually, hold up. At frame 730, blur should be 0. That is how you play it. That's the effect right there. Actually, hold on. Let me do one quick adjustment. Color corrector at frame 730. Saturation to be 0. To be 1.1.0, 1.0. The reason being is because for some reason it starts where you want it to start. 1.02. I'll be nice. So here's the whole effect. Ta-da! There you go. Now at this point, it's up to you of how you want to present the story. I am going to add a text at the same time. Here's where it's going to come. I'm going to add a control space. We're going to add a text node. And we're going to say under this text node, we are going to put let me see what I want to put. Okay, I know what I want to put. I want to put this. And I will tell you, this could be a preview for the spring training episode of VR Chat I'm planning to do with our buddy Lone KC. However, this is just coincidental because I want to present an effect. That's why I'm putting that disclaimer. This is only done for the demonstration of Davinci Resolve effects. So, this is your flowchart. So, where does the text come into play? Frame 815. It should be at frame 815. Let's see. Let's put this at frame 815. Oops, that's going back. Now, it's going to be harder. Actually, you know what we can do? Remove the text node. We're not going to do the text node there. I'll explain why. I'm going to go back to the edit page. We're going to look for right around here. And then we're going to put a title. Now you would be wondering why title? I thought this was Fusion. Here's the thing. Sometimes you gotta be creative when you're not getting what you want. So the title is going to be let's move this down. Number one, we're gonna go to layout. We're gonna go to center Y, and we can put it downstairs. And then we can go back to text. We're gonna put in what we just put in, and there we go. If my grammar is off, sorry. Demonstration of Davinci only. Extremely very co- coiz- coincidental because you never know what I'm gonna say in the actual role play. Because this could be a false statement, but I just wanted to present it to you as a for this tutorial. It's not meant to be like, oh, I said this in a tutorial, therefore it's going to happen in the role play. No, it's just coincidental that I'm doing this effect. I would believe it was in transform. No, 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 not transform. Layout. Let's go to center Y, and I'm going to change the size. Oh goodness, it's big. There we go. That's better. So let's go ahead and replay it. If that text is not coming up until this frame right here, if you play video games, which I hope you do, this frame very important. So let's play it. There we go. Oh, by the way, you want to know how I made the fade in, fade out? There's a button here. The white tab on a clip is where you can put the fade in, fade out on a clip. You can hold your left mouse button on that white tab and then you press go right left. If you go right, fade in by X seconds. On the right, you put to your left, you fade out by X seconds. Whatever you want it to be for that particular clip. And you can do that also for video clip. You just do the same thing. You see those white tab, you go right. On the right, you go fade out. On the left, you go fade in. This is very common. This is a very common thing you do in video editing. Fade in, fade out. Except in Davinci Resolve, you use tab. You can also use transitions as well if you like. But I recommend trying out the new tools in DaVinci. Now, why is this the harder effect? The reason why this is the harder effect is because you're going to drive into color. You saw me use the color grading. This is the color grading thing. So let's take a look back at the Fusion comp. Let's go to the Fusion composition one more time. So you saw me use color corrector and blur at the same time. That is allowed. That is legal. As long as you run, here's the most important part. The most important part of Fusion before we do anything else. You have your media in. Your media in is this. Basically, this is your media in. The starting point of the media. There's no edits, no Fusion tab, no nothing. Once you run that through an effect, you're going to run it through an effect. It could be the color correction, it could be the blurring, it could be a text, it could be anything. Once you're done with all the effects that you wanted to do, then you run the final effect into a media out node. The media out is your result. Now, the way you want to think about this is a sandwich, like I mentioned on Tuesday. So, to make a sandwich, you need a bread. So, the bread, the bottom part of your sandwich is the media in. The tomato, the lettuce, the onions, those are your effects. And if you want it toasted, you need to run it through a toaster. That's your another effect that you use. Once you're done with the whole ingredient list, then you put it through the media out and you're done. That's how you want to use the effect. You use the Fusion tab. It is the most daunting tab you can ever face in DaVinci Resolve. But I'm going to tell you, once you learn DaVinci Resolve Fusion, you're going to be creating effects like this in no time. You just have to think, what am I presenting as the scene for my video? Are you trying to demonstrate something where a character forgets a character, like what we see here? Are you trying to present a focused area of concentration? What I mean by that is, are we going to say, okay, the most important thing here in this particular scene is the background or Kyle or whatever? They're going to be the focus of the video. Therefore, you have to think of the blurring of the other stuff, which is the blur of the background. Here, we're blurring the whole thing for a few reasons. Because of the story I'm presenting here. Okay? That's the reason why I played that. I played this card. Okay? Now, don't be don't be shy when it comes to fusion and doing effects. Okay? Because doing effects is going to help your video out. There's a reason why I switched from Movavi Video Editor to DaVinci. This is why. I get to do this thing right here for free. In Movavi, you have to pay $70 a month. Oh, and by the way, that's Video Editor plus effects. Here, free forever. The only time you want to pay is if you want to use a plugin or you want to upgrade to DaVinci Resolve Studio, which I do not recommend unless you go into professional with video editing or AI tools. Okay, that's the only time I'm going to use DaVinci Resolve Studio for that reason. Now, what other things can we present here? I will tell you, I cannot spoil it, however. I can't spoil it because it might be part of the first spring training episode for VR chat in VR. I can't spoil it because I might use it. So what you just saw here is potentially a preview of that, but on a more tutorial scale. I'm so excited about the Resolve. Now, keep in mind, don't do too much. The one thing that you might be tempted to do when you learn fusion is the idea of putting a lot of effects, blurring, um, color correct, um, effects like putting graphics and all that. There's a tendency to do that once you learn something, and it's fun. It's gonna make the video more interesting. But do you really need graphics and all that? Well, it really depends on what type of video you're doing. Sure, I can make a star over here, but I'm not gonna do it because this the way the scene is presented. Let's not do that. Only do the effects that you're going to do for that effect edit. The last thing you want to do is put too many effects in DaVinci. For not only is going to cost you more resources, but also the video message is going to get lost because you're putting too much effect in the effect of the effect. Here it's just right. Here the effect is just perfect. That's not too much. Text is on the bottom, explaining what the scene is. Awesome. You're done. Now I will tell you, don't do this area. Very common thing to do is place text on the bottom. The reason why you don't want to do that, however, is captions. Put this thing in the middle. Do not, do not put this on top. Do not put this over here. Put this thing majiggy in the middle because 100% of the time, if you're going to add captions, and I'm talking about captions for like the video, the captions go on the bottom. So right around here. You don't want to have your text telling about a story on the bottom because of the fact that captions could be in play, which 95% of the time they are. So so make sure your detail on the story goes in the middle. Captions go on the bottom. In my experience of editing videos, nothing goes on the top unless you are presenting a game, maybe like a scoreboard or something like that. But when it comes to your edit, be very careful. Captions are 100% on the bottom. Text detailing the story should be in the middle, assuming that there's no bright colors. It just so happens for this particular demo that there's no bright colors because we color corrected that thing to put it black and white by rule. And we have the blur effect that makes it even more available to see. So be very careful when you're video editing. Don't just put text in the bottom because if you put captions, then we're gonna have a problem. Put it in the middle, right here, and and don't go too many words as well, unless you really have to. All right, those are your three beginner-friendly compositions. I hope you guys enjoy that. Next week, we are going to jump into advanced fusion comps. We're going to go from text, blurring, and all this. We're going to combine that, but we're going to also add something new. We're going to add shapes. We're going to add some shapes, and we're going to add our very own infographic. And we are going to see, let's see what the poll is. It looks like, ooh, you guys want a Sonic animation or a animated health bar. I see where this is going. So next Thursday, we're either gonna make an animated health bar or a Sonic animation or both. Both. We can actually combine the two if you guys wish. Because if when we're going to do shapes, I'm gonna show you guys how to do a health bar. And when we do the Sonic animation, we're going to combine what we learned from this week and next week into one lesson. We're going to present that next week. But for next Tuesday, we're going to play with shapes. because this is where it's gonna get a little bit more advanced with shapes. Because all we have been doing up to this point is more of the basic fusion comps. We have not started the whole advanced material yet. So yeah, get ready. It's gonna get nasty, but in a good way. It's gonna get sloppy, as Mitch Flower Power would say. Now keep in mind, there's one more thing we can do here and make it red. I'm not gonna do that for the sake of like hurting your eyes. And the only reason why I would turn this red was because of the story, or and also in case that the blur is too much. So this is the only time I would consider changing the color of the text to red. Oh wait, don't do that. That's not what I want. This is what I want. We're gonna keyframe this. Yes, you can keyframe this. Let's go red here. You know what? No, that's way too much. I think that's fine. White is fine in this case. I think that's good. Yeah, that's fine. That that's gonna be fine. You know, you know. So there you go. All right, guys, that is it for today's lesson. So you learned today how to do the fusion comp for keyframe out of keyframing the text for opacity. You also learn about file LUTs, and you learn a triple. You learn a 2-for-1 special where you learn how to do a blur plus a color effect plus text on a blur. So that's this one that we just made here. Now I would suggest consider the timing because this is too fast when it comes to an actual role play. But for the sake of the tutorial, this is just perfect. I would even extend it just a bit. Now, again, it could be the subject only, it could be the entire thing. I would consider the entire thing only if required. Okay? So there you go. That's it. I'm gonna leave you there. We'll be back on Monday Tuesday for our advanced tutorial. We're gonna be doing shapes. Tomorrow we are gonna be doing schedule one, late night schedule one. Warning, the game is for adults only, but the stream will be for everybody. Just keep in mind there's gonna be a warning label. Saturday we're gonna have Mario Maker. I will consider the audience. We will be doing viewer levels. On Sunday we are gonna be doing. I am not. Oh, Fortnite. We're back to Fortnite on Sundays. Monday of next week we're gonna continue our ROM hack, and then we're gonna skip the whole Kaizo Yuki. We're just gonna do straight up viewer level. I think everybody likes that more. That's all for now. We'll see you guys tomorrow for schedule one. And remember, don't forget to fusion with Davinci.